Hey, thanks Steve. Please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. And also don't forget to click on the Deck Heroes icon for some amazing content. Anyway, this is a very interesting video from our friends at MSNBC. Basically just summarizing the Republicans, and you may well get some surprising names on there. I think you already know at least some of the names of the Republicans that have thrown the orange man under the bus, basically, and they've been very forthright about their opinion of the orange man at different times. Done a complete 180. And listen, I'm not trying to pee anybody off. Listen, if this is not for you, then please, you don't have to watch. At the end of the day, if you want to watch and you're kind of open, then obviously you're welcome, honestly welcome. I don't need people just to watch it just so they can dislike. I'm a left-wing guy when it comes to politics. So if you see the politics thing and you think, then just dodge that. I do lots of videos and other things. So we're all friends. But anyway, here we go.
We take our oath to defend the United States Constitution, and that oath must mean something. Tonight, I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
Will remain forever.
100% history. History will remember. Wasn't the Constitution meant to be the be-all and end-all? And that's just getting ripped up, basically. And there are Republican kind of ethics and morals. One of those is like law and order, right? Well, how's about this kind of sexual person convicted of sexual offences as your top guy, in addition to everything else, and not paying his tax? How much has he paid? How much tax has he paid? In recent years, in terms of when he eventually divulged it, it was a kind of, we'll put it this way, he paid less tax than me. You know what I mean? And I'm not meant to be some kind of billionaire. You know what I mean? But anyway, people reconcile. Let's go.
Hi again, everybody. It's 5 o'clock in New York. It is a phenomenon that will be studied for years, for decades, on both the political level and human behavioral level. How Republican after Republican after Republican after Republican has abandoned their morals, their previously stated standards, their compass, to openly embrace the criminally convicted, grab him in the bleep, twice impeached ex-President Donald J. Trump. Republicans, with the exception of a precious few, have seemingly happily and eagerly handed Donald Trump the keys to the castle of a political party that once stood for and saw itself as believing in law and order and believing.
But you know what, though? I won't keep stopping it. I think if Trump gets a convincing election defeat, he'll be buried. There'll be, honestly, how quick heads will turn and people go in exactly the opposite direction. You mark my words. It's either going to be close, or Kamala's just going to absolutely blitz him. When the more that people think about, well, actually, I don't really want to vote for authoritarianism. I don't want to vote for the crazies. I don't want to vote for the fascists. I don't really want the Proud Boys to be close to the hot seat. I don't really want the Trump children to be in key positions that they've never done before, or maybe they've got the 4 years experience before, but actually let's see how these are the top end jobs. Let's think about one of those kind of crucial jobs you can actually work it out just by work it out on the job in 4 years and everything else. Absolutely phenomenal. And as I said before in a different video, the people who feel a little bit, don't feel too threatened by a white supremacist, aka the Orange Man, being in office, just so he can beat all those legal cases that have been against him. And there's more and more legal cases, based on his actions. Think about how things worked out for Pence. Think about how things worked out for Pence. You could say he ticks the box, white male. You know what I mean? He actually picked him to be the vice president. Where is he now? He dared to dissent on one key issue. And then the mob rose up and was going to threaten to hang him. You know what I mean? So he was put in his place. That's a guy who is in the spotlight. If you're not in the spotlight and you're pushing against the grain in any degree. There's going to be a lot of people to your left and when you right when you go to these rallies, if you go, and they'll be the first to metaphorically stab you in the back. Not everybody. It's just food for thought. Let's go.
A strict adherence to the Constitution and cherishing character. Members of the Republican Party have now hitched themselves to all of Donald Trump's vulgarity, all of his autocratic impulses, his stated desire to use the military on American citizens, his flagrant misogyny, his out in the open racism, and his appetite for violence, once going so far as to incite a deadly insurrection against them, against the U.S. Capitol. In stark contrast to the courage displayed by former Chief of Staff General John Kelly, who wanted to remain apolitical but felt driven to speak out, these men and women know deep down the danger that Donald Trump poses to the country. They know exactly how his policies and his utterances run antithetical, not just to the Republican Party, but to the country, to the Constitution. We know that in this instance because they have said it. Take Donald Trump's hand-picked running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, who made a 180-degree switcheroo.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I got the easiest job in politics because all that I have to do is go out and remind the American people that Donald Trump was the president of peace and prosperity.
And there's Kevin McCarthy, former speaker.
I've had it with this guy. What he did is unacceptable. Nobody can defend that, and nobody should defend it.
I will support the president. I will support President Trump.
And speaking of beclownment, here's Lindsay Graham.
He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. This is the toughest guy I think I ever met. He's the modern version of Teddy Roosevelt.
I'm sorry. Then there's the group of folks who ran against Trump.
Listen, oh gosh, there's nothing really to say, so I won't keep us too long, but it's just... You know, the moments of truth, these are the moments of truth. When you are in opposition, you can be honest. And beyond that, you can be political, I guess, and just put your morals to the side. But anyway, let's go.
2016 or even earlier this year. But once they realized they weren't going to defeat him, they jumped on the Trump train full throttle.
I bet you all know. You all have friends. You all have friends that are thinking about voting for Donald Trump. Friends, do not let friends vote for con artists.
By giving voice to everyday Americans, President Trump has not just transformed our party, he has inspired a movement.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell.
That much is true. He's definitely inspired a movement. Unfortunately, it's on the extreme right wing, so I don't know about that.
President Trump has not just transformed our party, he has inspired a movement.
Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
God bless Donald J. Trump.
Donald Trump was totally unhinged. Unhinged.
I'll start by making one thing perfectly clear. Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
Why? And it's not just them. Very influential voices in right-wing media, another group of people who know better, also hide their disdain for the ex-president from their viewers, from Republican voters, while touting him proudly and condemning people like me and anyone who criticizes Trump on their airwaves. We know from the Dominion lawsuit against Fox News that Tucker Carlson describes Donald Trump this way in a text message to his colleagues, quote, "He is a demonic force, a destroyer. But he's not going to destroy us," Tucker Carlson texted. "I've been thinking about this every day for 4 years." Clearly not the same message he pushes publicly.
This is the most responsible, unifying behavior of a leader I think I've ever seen. I do think the entire point from the famous escalator ride 9 years ago until today of Donald Trump's public life has been to remind us of one fact, which is a leader's duty is to...
One fact. What's that going to be? Let's say the election fraud? Is that going to be the wall that never got built? Is it going to be, sending the COVID test kit to Putin? Is it going to be, as I say, encouraging Putin, say, take Ukraine, regardless of cost? Is it going to be denying all the birther stuff about Obama? Or no, it's probably something else more important. Okay, go.
His people, to his country, and to no other. Years ago until today of Donald Trump's public life has been to remind us of one fact, which is a leader's duty is to his people, to his country, and to no other.
And there are some others, like Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who publicly say they'll support the Republican Party's nominee no matter what he does, but save their most damning assessments of Donald Trump for the confines of private, thankfully recorded interviews. In a new book by journalist Michael Tackett, Mitch McConnell describes Donald Trump as, quote, stupid, as well as being ill-tempered, a despicable human being, and a narcissist, end quote. You're all so embarrassing. But it's important for anyone out there still trying to decide what to do. If you're trying to make up your mind with 13 days to go, be careful. Be careful about who you believe, because all those men I showed you, today they're for Donald Trump. But they weren't always. They hated him so much they called him demonic and despicable and America's Hitler. People may not say out loud in the next
I just want to say quickly, say in the UK, and I said this in a different video as well, we as a country voted for Brexit, and things were made clear to the country about, going up against a trade union on our own and thinking we can trade with these random tiny countries around the world instead of the economic powerhouses we trade on our doorstep. Things are not quite worked out. Things are not quite worked out. We're suffering a little bit, but long story short, we got what we deserved. We got what we voted for. It's not too late for you guys. If you vote for a fascist, especially if you've got the most to lose, then it's your own damn fault. It's your own fault. Who else's fault is it? You know what I mean? And you'll have a lot of time for regrets. Same way that we, as again with the Brexit, that we have regrets and other countries are laughing at us for like shooting ourselves in the foot. And we deserve it. And you all will deserve it too. Maybe, hopefully not. And again, I think the odds are that Kamala and democracy will win out. You know what I'm saying? But gosh, say if it's the turn. Say if it's I don't want to make this. It's gonna put him in a good light in a way. When you watch Star Wars, and you got like Darth Maul. Darth Maul's kind of cool, but you still don't want him to win. You know what I mean? I don't want to give him too much glory, but you know what I mean? If there was one side for the orange one, it's not that far off. Don't know if it's Darth Maul. No, maybe not Darth Maul. He's too cool. Yeah, like the elite Star Trooper. So like, you don't want the elite Star Trooper to win. Anyway, let's go.
13 days, what they actually think. It's where we start the hour with some of our favorite experts and friends. MSNBC columnist and contributor Charlie Sykes is here. Also joining us, writer and editor for Protect Democracy, Amanda Carpenter's here. With me at the table for the hour, host of the podcast On Brand, Donnie Deutsch is here. Charlie Sykes, I start with you.
It's always interesting talking to Republicans who accuse never-Trumpers of abandoning their principles, which is why I so much enjoyed that particular montage. I really wish that shame was a more powerful force in our politics today, that any of those individuals would look at those comments and feel ashamed, would be embarrassed about what they are willing to embrace now that they weren't willing to embrace before. But it's interesting that you started off with Liz Cheney's quote about, if you go along with this, your dishonor will live with you forever. So fast forward to today, where one Republican after another is finding some way either to look away from or rationalize the reports that Donald Trump admired Adolf Hitler. We remember 8 years ago, after the Access Hollywood video came out, that there were some Republicans who still had enough shame and enough pride and enough principle that they were willing to back away. Today, as we are hearing from the people closest to Trump's presidency about what a danger he is, not one Republican has the fortitude to step back and say, this is deeply troubling, I'm off the train. So it's a very clarifying day. And I certainly agree with Matthew Dowd that this could have an impact on that small sliver of the electorate that has been shaking their head and wondering whether or not they are going to put up with this for another 4 years.
Just a second. He used words like clarifying day, and he used the word of Hitler in association with Trump, as we know. I think the one thing that I can't believe I'm agreeing with Charlamagne the God in his interview on CNN, but I did watch that whole interview, and he was right, and that was the bulk of Michelle Obama's recent rally, in as much as they're kind of like brushing off. See that there's a weakness with the Democrats in how they kind of present their arguments. You know what I mean? Even when they've got they get a gotcha and they just kind of have it as a philosophical debate. This guy on the right wing is associating himself with Hitler. You know what I mean? That should be too much. That should be too much. They're not making enough noise about it. They almost skip past their own points. There's no Republicans on this panel. You know what I mean? They're not making points to send us to the left. The Democrats themselves are overlooking their points and just kind of brushing past this one is just too much then. It's just too much, it's just too much, it's just too much, and that should be loud. But it's not, it's like a whisper. You make a very good point, my friend here. You're making a very good point, and I'm not really blaming you. I'm blaming MSNBC. You're just a little bit too weak with it. Gosh, if this was flipped and the Republicans had all this level, different stories, but this level of dirt on the Democrats, trust me, it would be a landslide. It'd be a landslide. You need some more kind of political meat to you, political weight to you. You know, you present things. This weak way of going about things just kind of, it gets overlooked. Not you, my friend. It's just kind of the demo. Listen, I'm not even affected by it. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. Just objectively how I look at it. And I had the same frustration with, in the UK with Labour, with Corbyn. It's like, he's a very interesting man. But it's like he's kind of trying to debate with his arms tied around his own back. He's tied his own arms around his back, and thank goodness we got Keir Starmer at the moment, and we can have a little bit more kind of justice in the UK. Anyway, let's move forward.
What's amazing to me is the disdain for the Republican voter, the disgust for the Trump base, that they will say in private to reporters with tape recorders, Trump is a despicable human being. He's a narcissist. That's what Mitch McConnell really thinks of him. America's Hitler, cultural heroine. That's what J.D. Vance really thinks of him. Someone for whom the 25th Amendment was too slow of a process to rid the country of him. That's what Kevin McCarthy really thinks of him. And then go out like it's North Korean state TV and say the opposite in front of cameras. What is that about those men?
It's their conscience has been broken by partisanship. I mean, this is what you see again and again. And, when you play the clip of Liz Cheney talking about dishonor and the clip of McConnell, I was just thinking, there was excerpts in this book that's coming out about his career, about how he cried in front of his staff after January 6th because he was so upset about what they had to go through that day. His wife resigned over what happened. People don't really talk about that. But there was another point in the book where he also cried because he was so happy that he had broken the record for being the longest serving Republican Senate leader. So you look at those two things and it's like, well, which...
Just a second. I don't think their conscience has been broken by partisanship. I don't think they're tying the party line. Trump is an independent. He was just under the Republican banner. That's why it's so different to every other Republican before. Because Trump is a Republican voter, but he's not a Republican kind of party member. Technically, in terms of following the Republican line, he's shifted what the Republicanism is to somewhere else, closer to fascism. So it's still on the right, but now it's to the far right. I think what they're doing, as I say, is not this kind of partisanship. What did I do that again? I think it's just for the money. It's just for the money and the power. You know what I mean? So even if that money and the power is from the mob and the kind of, generally speaking, more ignorant and the less educated, generally speaking, not wanting to generalize too much, and that's not everybody. My partner's not that, by the way. My partner is very educated and not ignorant, and she's she's influenced by the religious, the religious kind of blindness, I think, what it is, more so than anything else. But also, I think people are getting taken in, and that's the bigger problem. But I say the more willfulness, how people get taken in, the less kind of the less regard you can have to it. As if you take yourself in, or the threshold for you to get taken in, you had to walk down that road a little bit, then that's on you, and history will kind of flag that up. But if Trump gets in, oh my gosh, things will never be the same in that country. That will not be the country that you know about liberty. That's one of the first things. I can't remember all the things, but liberty and equality, gone.
Which one was more important to him? Clearly, it's being part of the Republican Party, being part of the club, being part of the tribe, right? I mean, he can look at the situation and see this is a terrible thing that happened. Donald Trump isn't qualified to be president. But when he was in a position to do something about it after January 6th, he did not go along with convicting him. If he, as Senate Majority Leader, could have convinced and delivered the votes for Republicans to convict him, and we would not be in that situation. He chose otherwise because he thought the partisanship was more important. And so that's just, it's really hard to grapple with, especially when you think about him sitting, maybe it's a little bit personal because I've worked in the Senate. Like, I know what those rooms are like. I cannot imagine what the staffers went through that day. It makes me sick. It clearly made him sick. He cried in front of his staff and then turned around and supported the guy who continues to threaten to put the U.S. military to police our streets, to go after the enemies within. And so when you think about dishonor, was it worth it, Mitch McConnell? Was it worth it to be the longest-serving Senate Republican leader if this is what you leave the country with? Look at the biography that's being published of you. Read the title. It's incredible. It's a great title, The Price of Power. We're suffering that price in this election. It may turn out okay, but man, this is tough. This is tough stuff to grapple with.
Yeah, I mean, I find that so fascinating. I must admit, as I say, my main interest in the channel is definitely gaming. I'm going to do some gaming videos. I haven't done any in a while. I was literally on the verge of trying to find another game and never got around to it. So I'm still with Rise of Kingdoms at the moment anyway. Very happy in my alliance as well, 1150. Not my alliance, the alliance that I'm in. Very, very happy. Very interested in doing some kind of relationship type videos. I live in London, which is an amazing, huge, kind of busy city, and I keep myself busy, and I think I've got a lot to give. Just kind of feeding on the advice of others, but I can do my own videos, and I do my own videos as well, trying to, give my little bit of advice and have a laugh along the way as well. But as I say, I've got a 2-1 in psychology, a master's in economics, and also a qualification in politics as well, and current affairs. So that's of interest to me, but also fitness as well. So I'm going to try to get a little tickle on that. And I was also thinking about doing a food video, kind of doing stuff along those lines. So you never know. Basically, all things where I think I could add something with a little bit of just keep it high end is what I'm interested in. And watch this space anyway. Please like, subscribe. Please click the notifications. 100% free. Bloody. That is the good amount.